Hello, Dana.
Hi, how are you, Karenina?
I'm amazing. I'm really, really excited to ask you some questions about your experience today. Thank you so much for wanting
Yeah,
to
yeah,
share.
I actually am really looking forward to it.
Oh, good, good, good. So, um, you're just an amazing, high-powered female entrepreneur coach, and you've been successful in business for many years. And what was it that was happening in your life such that you decided that it was time for you to break through to the next level?
Um, about a year before I reached out to you, my business had, like roller coasters do, come down to like the lowest level it had ever been since I started in business.
Mm.
And while it had climbed back up, uh, I kept feeling like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. And it was causing a lot of anxiety, and I wasn't enjoying the upswing of my business in the same way that I was not enjoying the downswing. Like, that didn't make any sense to me, that I was just sitting there waiting for bad things to happen. Um and then, to be perfectly honest, I didn't even think that about you being the answer
Right.
until, right, you posted something on Facebook, and a mutual friend of ours, who's worked with you, was like, "Oh my God, I'm so great! My whole life looks different." And I'm like, "Huh, hmm, that's interesting." And I had known you for a little bit, but not really well. And I was just like, "Okay, well, let's see, right? I don't know. Let's just see what happens." So when I reached out to you and we had, one of the things I really loved was that the conversation was not like, "Let me sell you this." It was really a conversation about how you're doing. And then you didn't even ask me if I wanted to do it. You were like, "Okay, so let's talk again in a week or two." And I remember getting off the phone going, "This is different. Okay, this is cool. I'll do the homework that she suggested and let's see what happens."
Yeah.
And it kind of it freed me up to say yes, or no, and to really look to see it, was it something that I were you the right person for me.
Mhm.
And just in that, like, small little exchange, it was like, "Oh, nobody's ever done this before. Like, this is a really interesting conversation. This is about me, not about her." Okay, so that's really it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. So you were uncomfortable even in the upswing of your business, and you made the decision after having spoken with me a couple of times that I was the right person to help you and that it was about you and your success, not really about me. So, what was next? What happened next for you?
To be perfectly honest, I can't even remember the homework you gave me. Like, I just don't remember.
You
But
don't
I
need
did
to remember.
right. I reached out to our mutual friend, and then I reached out to another mutual friend, and I was like, "I think I'm going to do this." And I'd had experiences with energy healers before, and my motto is, I don't care how woo it is, if it works. Like, all I care about is results, right? And
Mhm.
so I was like, "Okay, I'm going to do it." Um, and what's really funny is when I showed up for our 2-day experience together,
Mhm.
I really had no idea what you did. I had filled out all your paperwork and I'd answered all the intake questions, and I was like, "Okay." And I had no idea what to expect. Yeah, it was so like, "Oh, that's what we're gonna do. Okay, okay."
So, how was it going through the breakthrough experience, the 2-day breakthrough experience? How was that for you?
It was good. It was so there are some metaphors that really, really worked for me. Um which is really nice because I always feel like I'm the one who's creating metaphors, and it was really nice to live in somebody else's metaphor for a little bit. If that, I don't know if that makes sense or not.
It does, to me at least.
And interestingly enough, I think I was expecting more woo.
Yes. I was going to have you say something about it since you mentioned woo. I'm like, so how was it? Was it really that woo?
It was like not woo, really. It was way more tactical and strategic, and looking at, and I don't think looking at stories that you're making up or that your brain is holding on to is woo in the least, right? Like I do that kind of work all the time with my clients. And so I was like, oh, yeah, she's not waving her. You know, I've actually been to energy healers who wave their hands and put healing forks in my belly button. Mm-hmm. I know people who see this may think, oh my God, I'm never going to talk to her because she's really out there. But all in the name of that, I know they produce results. And so I was expecting something more wooey, and it wasn't. It was really tactical. Mm-hmm. And when I remember the first night you said, I was in Las Vegas. It turns out a really good friend of mine was there celebrating her 50th birthday. And you were like, you may decide that you don't really want to go out with them. And I went down and I had a drink with them, and I was like, okay, see you later. Yeah. Because I just really needed quiet to kind of integrate what was happening, what I was, not only what I was feeling, but really what was going on in my head. Like, oh, so that's where that, it was kind of like a puzzle, and pieces were all of a sudden fitting. It was a really good experience. Yeah, I would be hard pressed to talk about it any more than that, about like what happened, because I just kind of took it all. I do remember, I think I said to you when I was leaving, I was like, okay, so now what? And you were like, well, we're going to check in and see how things go. And the difference between being in the conversation and applying it to my life took a little bit longer than I thought it would. I'm a stubborn old person. Or my brain is old enough to be stubborn. But eventually, like within a couple of weeks, things had really shifted.
Yeah.
And in ways that, like, it's not just pretend. There's actually, like, I get up every morning and I go and look at my statements, right? I just see them and then I can say them to myself, and it changes the entire way that my day goes. The feeling that the other shoe has dropped has disappeared completely. We reworked what I offer so that I'm not selling as much as I was before, and making more money. And what's really interesting about this is that I've gotten to this place where, okay, I only need, in order to meet my goal, only need to enroll one person a month. And that takes the pressure off. And I find that I'm actually, and I've enrolled the client I need, like, at the beginning of every month, so that I've got weeks to go before there's any pressure to have to enroll anybody. And I find that I'm like having sales conversations and people are showing up, and that all the stress about it is gone. It's just fun.
That's amazing. So could you please elaborate just a little bit on what your business was looking like and the pressure that you were experiencing before the breakthrough, so to contrast it to what you just said right now of freeing up your mind and freeing up the time to have sales conversations and have fun?
Yeah, so I was feeling like I always had to think about where the next person was coming from and how was I going to make that happen. I don't do, by any means, I'm high pressured sales of any kind. I don't do anything. I know I'm kind of I'm not against technology, but I don't use technology the way a lot of coaches use technology to have group programs. And my clients, I have a very deep connection, personal connection with each of my clients. I only do one-on-one work. And so the conversations that we have to get from being acquaintances or friends or referral to working together are all one-on-one, and they take time. And so I was feeling really pressured always to where are these other people going to come from. And what was interesting is that what was going on in my head and what was reality were two different things. So I'm going to be honest and say I don't think much has changed in terms of reality. People still show up out of nowhere. People are still referred by other people. My networking of 10 years, 20 years in my city has paid off all that work that I've done, and people call and book consults with me out of nowhere. I don't know who they are until I get on the phone with them. That was all happening then too. And I know that's true because I have a friend who I talk to once a week, and we share like, okay, so what are you doing, right? And she would say to me, why are you focusing on what's not happening when every time we talk, that's where you start, and then halfway through the conversation, you've got this on your conversation scheduled, and so showed up, right? So I know that reality is the same, but what's different is how I feel about it and how I'm approaching it. And the stress and the anxiety is gone.
You're relating to things very differently.
Totally differently. So that is gone. And then we made one tweak to what I offer. What I used to do was just offer a 3-month program and then kind of let people go off and implement on their own. And now I offer it as a 9-month program with an investment that is the same per month, but now it's a 9-month investment instead of a 3-month investment. And that has really taken the pressure off, because I don't need 2 or 3 two or three new clients a month in order to make the goal that I have. And I'm one of these people talk a lot, coaches talk a lot about creating 7-figure businesses, and I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in knowing what's enough for me, and low multi-6 figures is perfectly fine. And I can do that with just doing what I'm doing now, the tweak that we made. And so it takes all the pressure off. And if I can't sell one client, if I can't add one client to my roster every month, then really I should stop coaching.
Yeah.
It's really as simple as that.
So how, you're describing a reality that has been consistent both before and after, but the change has been in how you've been relating to it. How valuable has that been? You being able to change how you relate to your business, to money, to your clients, or the sales process?
Okay, so I'm going to say the value is, of course, immeasurable, and it comes in 2 ways. One is, for me personally, I can sleep. I'm not having panic attacks. I'm not stressing. I used to jokingly and not so jokingly talk about being addicted to the word yes, and having all of the physical, like heart palpitations and high blood pressure, and not being able to sleep, or waking up in the middle of the night not being able to go to sleep, back to sleep, because I was worried about money or the health of my business, and all of that is gone. So that's an amazing value, right? But here's another piece that I actually just saw this second. Is I shift my clients' interpretation of their reality as part of the work that I do as well. And I knew that it was valuable because from watching them, but it's been a really long time since I've experienced that shift for myself. And it really has me get to my core, the value that I bring to my clients by shifting how they see their world.
That was a big one. I could feel that too. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate about you, especially the post that you posted on Facebook yesterday was so down to earth when it comes to being self-employed, having a business on your own. And so what I'm hearing here is you being able to shift your perspective in a completely down to earth kind of way that it's probably giving you years back and quality of life back that would not have happened otherwise. And
Totally.
so this, and what I'm hearing too is that you have now been able to shift into a perspective that is also freeing you up to do more if you should want to.
Yep. Yeah. Like here's something else that is actually happening too, that seems like it comes out of this this no stressness, is that I've had clients, especially this calendar year, who have started with me, realize somewhere in the middle that they actually weren't committed to doing the work it was going to take to make whatever it was happen. And I don't believe in making people coach with me if they're not ready, right? And so what we do, because I've already been paid, so there's no stress there, is just put a hold. And then, whenever they want to come back and finish up, or whenever they want to come back and finish I do an intensive in person with my clients, do that part of it, then all they have to do is reach out and then we figure it out. And here we are getting to the end of this year, and I'm having these conversations with 2 out of the 3 clients who stopped this year, and we're getting the closure on the books and just so that it's complete, and it's complete for them, and it's complete. And I didn't reach out to them; they're reaching out to me. Like, I'm 100% okay if they decide they're done, or they really have forever. I mean, that's kind of a long time, but to say, okay, hello, I'm ready now, right? And they're just kind of coming and completing, so that creates more space. It's like when you clear out the clutter in your house, and there's this breath of fresh air, and then you can either leave it that way, or you can bring in flowers, or you can put up a different something on the wall, or change a piece of furniture, right? It feels expansive and open for something else to come in, and they're reaching out to do that. And I definitely think it's because there's a change in the emotional energy around here. So that may be so odd and weird.
I don't think so. Well, it does make perfect sense to me, and I'm actually feeling it emotionally as you were describing this newfound sense of freedom and space and expansion. And I think that's what, I think most coaches, most female entrepreneurs that I work with, they have somewhere along the way gotten themselves attached to a specific number that they want of income coming in, and they allow themselves to, like, their physical bodies are all stressed out, they can't sleep, like you said, they're constantly like, I can't ever stop, and they're attached to this number. But in reality, what they really want is to be able to slow down and create more space. And if they have 10 or 20,000 comfortably coming in every month without stressing, that they will feel so much more rich and
Yes.
fulfilled. And I'm not anti building 6 or 7-figure businesses, but I am pro making money like a lady and not stressing out. So, and it sounds to me like that's what you're describing now. You've been able to make money with ease and grace, and you're having lots of fun that you weren't having before.
Totally. That's exactly right. It's
What,
great.
oh, sorry, I did not mean to
No,
cut you off. What are some words of wisdom for, let's say, a female entrepreneur who's watching this and she's realizing that, yeah, maybe it's time that I slow down or I change my relationship with money and business and sales. And what are some words of wisdom that you could share with her if she's considering having a breakthrough or going through the Make Money Like a Lady formula?
that so often we're taught to drive business, and and that works for a good long time. Driving your business, like pushing and making stuff happen, works. I'm not going to deny that until it doesn't, because it has a toll that it takes. Because you're pushing and pushing and pushing. There's no ease in pushing. It's like the Greek story about, I think it was Sisyphus, who's pushing the boulder up the hill.
Yeah.
And if you let go for a second, right, it's going to roll you over. And that becomes really energetically depleting. And so if I was to give somebody else advice about when they start feeling the stress, if you're waking up with panicking about whether your business is going to make it, or whether you can, you've lived on the roller coaster entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. The roller coaster is not going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
there's a different way to be about the fact that you're on a roller coaster that doesn't require so much stress when things are going well. And I don't know, we'll see what happens when we start coming down the other side, if and when that happens, how that will be and if it will be different. But my advice is to find somebody, and if it's Karenina, you should call her, but to find somebody who can give you a different perspective than the one that you're seeing. Because for all human beings, we only see what we can see. We have these, blinders on, and in order to see life in a different way, you can't see what's going on in your own head. Somebody else has the key to that. And if you trust somebody else and give them permission, and then maybe not even believe them, but take the opportunity to look and see that perhaps what they're showing you, it could be of value, could work, that it's worth taking that risk and it's worth asking for help. Because on the other side, there's the possibility of living without that stress.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that would be the
Awesome. What I love about that is I just see another analogy here where, the roller coaster of entrepreneurship is never going away if you choose to have a business. But you go from sitting on the roller coaster to being the controller. So you're like seeing it, you're not on it. So
yeah, right.
mm-hmm.
You're seeing it, and you can react to it. You can strategize. You can look. It's just less. You're less in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I don't actually believe you can control it.
Oh no, I mean like push the button. Push the button.
Like I don't
and
think
watch it go rather than being
you can
on
watch
it
instead of being on it. And also it's really hard when you're in the throes of it, and there's no separation between you and being on the roller coaster. A lot of what the possibilities that might be available to you, or the solutions that might come to you, can't come when you're in the middle of a panic.
right.
Or can't come when you're stressed. you need just enough separation from your own brain and from the fear, because it's the fear that's so debilitating, so that you can see other possible solutions.
Yeah. So that's what so in that great post that you made yesterday on Facebook, you said that continued success in business, it sounded like you were saying in virtually any kind of business, does require, continuous or ongoing transformational work for yourself and rewiring your brain and your nervous system to adjust. So you mentioned you do that for your clients as well. So what are the kinds of clients that you love working with?
So first, I just really want to say about that particular thing, that as business owners in general are always striving to get their to grow your business. Your business either grows or it shrinks. It's the law of entropy. Very rarely does it stay the same, right? And a business can only grow as big as the owner or the entrepreneur can actually hold. And in order to grow, the business owner has to grow metaphorically, right? Yeah. So that's why I posted that. And it's hard when you're doing it yourself. So the business owners that I work with are people who are established. They've actually had their businesses for a while. They're successful. In other words, they're making money, and their product, their service, they know it's viable because people are buying it. However, they are stuck in some way. Either their revenue is stuck, or they are working ridiculously long hours, or they've lost their mojo about their business. And everything that they've done before to make or to drive the business into moving again, into giving it some oomph, isn't working. And the reason why it's not working is because it actually takes a whole different paradigm shift to get to that next place, but you can't see it from where you're at. Usually it's what they don't know that they don't know in the area of the mechanics of business, right? Like, what do you do? So I do help them with what do they do, and then it's that thing that we're talking about right now, where it's really they just need a reframe of how they're experiencing and interpreting their reality and the situations that are coming up. And so those are the people that I work with. And I actually work with service providers, I work with manufacturers, I work with product-based, online-based businesses. It's more about the business owner themselves, that they're really clear that they need help, and that they can't do it themselves. I found too that another cut in this, which seems totally different, but is actually almost the same thing, are business owners who have a business that was suddenly discovered. There's no such thing as overnight success.
Right.
So it might feel like it, but there's years of work that goes into overnight success.
Yes.
But they aren't prepared for the sudden increase in demand, and they haven't prepared their infrastructure, and they're in the throes of imploding. And they hire me to help them create instant infrastructure and to raise their awareness to be able to hold such a bigger business. Because if you don't do that, really you just go.
Yes. Awesome. So any service provider, manufacturer, small business owner who has viable business, product or service, and
who's stuck and wants help.
Awesome. Well, so then they can find you. I'll make sure to include your website info so that they can get hold of you there. Is there anywhere else you would prefer them to go?
Yeah, so I really, honestly, I'm all about connection. So if you want to find me, all you have to do is look up Dana Corey on Facebook and friend me personally. Yeah. Don't forget my business page, which used to be active and isn't anymore. I talk to people on there and in the back in Messenger, and that's really the place where I hang out. hanging out online is a thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not usually there with a cup of coffee and, so yeah, come meet me there.
Awesome. So meet you on Facebook. And if you could share your biggest takeaway from your breakthrough experience with me, what is that?
That if I'm stressing, that's a sign to remember that that's coming from inside, not from outside. And to take my awareness off me and look to see what's happening out there in the world.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time and sharing about your experience. It was awesome. And I hope all these business owners who see that you're the right fit, or hope that you're the right fit, will reach out to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Corinne. And thank you for everything.
Thank you.